and welcome back to another Cafcast. Today we're carrying on with our How to Dogecoin series, and this is the episode that most of you have been waiting for. This is How to Mine Dogecoin. Now, we're going to have to go through a few things step by step here, and I deliberately haven't installed any of the software required on my computer because it's all relatively small and easy to download, so it makes sense for me to do it with you rather than just do it before you. But the very first thing that we need to do before we go any further is we need to make sure that we're doing this safely. Because the most important thing about Dogecoin, no matter how much you manage to mine, if you kill your graphics card while doing it, it's not really worth your time or effort or anything like that. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to your graphics card manufacturer's website, whatever that might be, EVGA or anything like that, and download their graphics card software. In particular, the sort of like overclocking software. So I think EVGA does, I think it's Precision X. I use Asus components in my computer, and I have this ghastly program here called Asus GPU Tweak. Now, it's actually a pretty good program for doing the sort of things that we want to do, and it's good for getting a soft overclock going. As you guys can see here, I'm actually running a 1046 overclock on my GPU with a 1200 maximum GPU voltage and a memory clock of 6600. The reason for actually getting this software is nothing to do with changing the overclocking. And if you want to overclock, you're more than welcome to try it, but it is something that you need to do very gradually, step by step, on the GPU boost and step by step on the memory clock. But most important thing to remember is that you don't need to overclock your graphics card to be able to mine Dogecoin. Straightforward, you just need to have the graphics card running efficiently. And the reason that we have this is because we need to monitor the temperature of our GPU and we need to be able to manually modify the fan speed. So that's what we're going to be doing today. The very first thing that you want to do before taking on any of this kind of thing is be absolutely as safe as possible. And the best way of doing that is starting by increasing your fan speed to 100%, the absolute maximum that it will go. Obviously, at the moment, that will bring our GPU temperature right down. As you can see, we are already running at 26. Just jumped up a little bit to 29 there. Obviously, I am recording at the same time, so some of my GPU usage is going to be going towards that. But that's the most important thing to do to start off with, because we don't want to start running any kind of benchmarks or stress tests on our computer without having the fans running at a complete full speed and then modifying them and bringing them down slowly later on. So now that we've done that, obviously bear in mind that these graphics tweaks that I'm talking to you about, as I've described in the description, are for NVIDIA graphics cards. If you do use AMD, this perhaps isn't the tutorial for you, but there are plenty of tutorials out there that I know I have seen on YouTube that are specifically for AMD graphics cards. And the majority of the time, any of the altcoin mining that uses script rather than the encryption method that Bitcoin uses are relevant to the tutorial that I'm trying to do today and to your cards. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go onto the internet and we need to download CUDA Miner. So if I just type that in here, if I can type properly, CUDA Miner, there we go. The best thing to do is to go to, I think it's Bitcoin Talk. Yes, this is the site that you need. This is actually a really great discussion because this is kind of the quote-unquote official place that the program has actually been released. There is 98 pages worth of conversation, but the only thing that we're interested in right now is this, CUDA Miner 2013, 12, 18. We have seen up to 40% performance increases by running the latest version. So as long as you don't have any of the 5 series Fermi cards, then I would strongly recommend downloading this. If you have a Fermi card, then it may be worth going for a slightly older version. It shouldn't make too much of a difference to your computer and what you're doing with it, but it's still important to get the right setup. So I'm going to click there, and that will take me over to the website that I need to get the actual download from. As I said before, it's a relatively small download, so it shouldn't take too long. 7.2 meg. No time at all, pretty much. And boom. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to open that up straight from my browser here. and I'm going to extract that onto my desktop. Now, obviously, you can rename that folder anything that you want to, and you can put it anywhere that you want to, but that is the actual Miner program there. That's what we've got. So, now that we've got that downloaded, what we now need to do is go to a pool and log in and sign up. The reason that I haven't gone into more details about the pools is, like the buying and selling of Dogecoin, it really is entirely up to you. If you want a personal recommendation, I currently use Duke House, which is the one that I'll probably be using for the purposes of this tutorial. But it's entirely up to you which one you use. If you go to the Dogecoin Reddit, what you can do is you can highlight over pools, and they have a directory and a list here of various different mining pools. You can use either website, and you can have a look through, see how many workers are on each pool. This information, I believe, is a bit out of date, but the actual links themselves aren't. And then all you need to do to find out about different pools and stuff is go to one, and then go on to the pool information here. You can actually see that this one, for example, dogecoinpool.com, has 412 active miners and a hash rate of 112 mega hashes. Now that's obviously a combined pool together, because what you'll find as we go through this tutorial is that in the current state of mining with graphics cards using CUDA Miner, you're looking at about 400, 500. I mean, the best that I get out of my GTX 780 first day edition is about 512, and that's running some really balls to the walls configs, which I will go through later on. But anyway, you need to basically choose yourself a pool. So I've managed to do that. I've chosen Doge House here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign up to this this website here. I'll pause the video just for 2 seconds whilst I do the email verification part of the video and get the passwords and stuff all sorted out. But as I said before, guys, just remember that this account is not going to be used permanently. There's going to be nothing here, so it's not worth your time trying to gain access to it or anything like that. This is just a temporary account that I'm going to use to demonstrate this content, and then I'm going to ask for the account to be deleted after that. So once I've signed into the actual website itself, I'll be back with you guys in 2 minutes. Okay guys, now that I've signed up to the website, we have access, and we need to use some information from the pool to add to our configuration file for CUDA Miner in order to get it working with this website. The way that we do that is we need to add a worker. We go into the My Workers section of the website here, and we create one. So user and password, that's fine. This information doesn't really matter because it doesn't gain access to your account or anything like that. It's just telling the website when you log into CUDA Miner and you put the worker information, it's telling you which worker you're using. So what you can then do is you can use multiple computers on the same login through specific workers. So that's the reason that you have more than one. So we'll just use the generic settings that it's given us here. So that's the worker login there, dogetest1.user, worker password. We can monitor it in bits and pieces like that, but we don't need to worry about that too much at the moment. The next thing that we need to do is go and get the information for actually gaining access to the pool, and that information is not in the pool section. It's in the, let's have a look here. I think it's in the getting started, is it? Yeah, here we go. Right, so this is the actual information that you need to get the miner configured, but there are other bits and pieces that we need to do to make sure that the configuration has been done correctly. And the best way of finding that information now is by going to the CUDA Miner setup. CUDA Miner. If we just type in CUDA Miner setup, I believe it's one of the first links. It could actually just be this link here. Has information about how to set the system up. What we need to do is we need to actually make a .bat file in our CUDA Miner, and that's actually what we run. Now, obviously, I will strongly recommend using the 64-bit version of CUDA Miner because that's going to do us a lot of favors in trying to make sure that we're running as optimally as possible. That's definitely not the right website, so we'll have to keep on going and see if we can find it. Netcode pool could be it. Yeah, that's the one. Lovely. Right, okay, so we have the correct information up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create, not a new folder, sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself there slightly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a new text document and just call it whatever we're going to call it. So we'll just call this stress test for now, just to see how well it runs, and then we can add sort of more optimal configurations later on. So if I open up this text document, there's a set kind of configuration guide that you need to run. I'll maximize this back again so we can see what I'm talking about. So this is an example of the sort of information that you need to type in. That's the basic code that you need to actually get the system running. Now, as you can see, the first thing that it asks for is the IP address of the actual mining pool itself, which if we go to Doghouse here, you can see that that is there with the port number, and then you have the username and the password. There is actually an example of the CUDA miner script here, and there's also a CG miner ATI guide on this website as well. So it might actually be quite a good place for you guys to start if you're looking into getting some more information out. And there is also a CPU miner system there for anybody who's running perhaps a little bit slower, so who hasn't got a GPU that can actually run this system. I'm not sure about whether or not onboard graphics cards can run it in bits and pieces like that. I haven't tried. If there's enough requests for it, I might make a video on my Mac about trying to get those working, because I have a Haswell MacBook Air that runs on that onboard graphics card with that, so we could try that. But anyway, let's carry on with the NVIDIA stuff for now. We need to go and configure this. Now, there are lots of different configuration bits and pieces that we need to worry about, but to start off with, we will just add this information here. In fact, what we'll do is we'll take it directly from Doghouse, because then we already have the correct information added already. So we'll minimize that over there. We'll put that in here. So that's all good to go. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to delete this information here and put in what I know needs to be there, like this. And then we add the config before the -O. For some reason, I don't know why that isn't there on this one. I just know what I've had to do in the past to get it working, and they have the sort of -O on that one as well. So interesting. Anyway, so we have the Stratum plus TCP Doghouse, and the port number has been added correctly. Now what we need to do is we need to type in the web login and the worker name, and then the worker password. So on here, I've set up an account. Let's see if I can remember the account name. It was something like Doog Test. If I go into workers, yeah, so it's exactly what it says there. So weblogin.worker name. So it's Doog Test 1.user, and then the worker password is just password. So that should be the correct information. We'll give that a go and make sure it works properly. And we'll just double check on here and make sure that they're thinking that's the right thing. So they've done it a little bit differently. Worker name, worker pass, which I think is actually outdated information, and that may be why that's done like that. I don't know. So I'm not gonna question it. We're just gonna carry on with doing this, because I know that these settings work, and they work very well. So the next thing we need to do is go through our configuration. There's a variety of different things that we can do here, and the best thing for you to do is go through them step by step and decide whether or not you need to worry about them. For example, the first is devices, and that is a chance for you to tell the configuration file which graphics card that you want to use. So, for example, for me, I'm running a graphics card on the first slot. So it's because I just have the one GTX 780 on my computer at the moment. I may add a second one if there's ever any need to, but at the moment that runs pretty much all my games, so I don't have to worry about that too much. So I know that's on place 0, so you can see there that I'm typing in -D for device and then telling it where it is, so that's 0. The next one we've got is launch configuration. What I usually do is type in auto, because it's always good to have this set up for now. because then you know that if you ever need to modify it later on, and to get those 500 kilohash plus speeds that I've been talking to you guys about, you need to be able to modify your launch config, and that's what I have done in the past to get that set up. So I will bring that up once I've logged into the website, to the Skype to get the DC Software friend of mine who knows a lot more about this than I do. And I will share those with you at the very end of the video. So the launch config there has been added to automatic. We can choose whether or not we want the computer to be interactive or not. Now this is a really useful one. If you are running a second graphics card and you're telling your CUDA miner to run exclusively on that graphics card, in which case D would be something like 1, then you can run interactive mode on 0 to tell the system that you are not intending to interact with that graphics card at all. However, if like me you are running a system in which you still need the computer to be somewhat responsive, then you can type in -I, let's put that in there properly, space 1. That's telling the configuration here that I still need to use this graphics card to be able to power my computer, to power my the bits and pieces that I'm running. With this setup that I'm setting up for you guys here, this will give me a kilohashes of around about 460, and it will allow me to do things like play YouTube videos and also play Dota as well at the same time as I mine. So it's definitely a very good configuration if you're actually using the computer. You can set up one if you're just literally going to turn the monitor off and stop using the computer, or run it without a monitor on, and bits and pieces like that. It's entirely up to you, really. Texture cache I've never had to worry about really, and single memory I haven't really touched that yet either. Those two are configurations that I haven't really had any time to look at. You can pause the video now and read the details about them if you want to get any more details in there. But the last one that we're actually going to do is we're going to be putting in the hash parallel, which means that, as it can explain here, usually like things like Bitcoin run exclusively on SHA-256, which is why they're not, that you can now run those more efficiently on external USB Bitcoin miners that work exclusively in SHA-256, and that's why those miners that run in the mega hashes do not work on script-based cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin. So what we can do is we can tell it to single thread those hashes, because as it says here, script also has a small SHA-256 component to it. We can tell it to run on a single thread on the CPU, multiple threads on the CPU, or just dump everything on the GPU. Now, to be honest with you, the best configuration that you can run here is 1, because that means that the GPU then only has to worry about running all the crud that we're throwing at it without having to rely on that to run these SHA-256 as well. And to be honest with you, whilst you're mining, your CPU isn't really doing that much stuff. So we're going to add that one as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in alphabetical order, just for argument's sake. It doesn't actually matter as far as I'm aware. So we're going to add that one in there as well. So we've done that. Now what I'm going to do, now that this file has been set up correctly, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to go and rename it. I need to actually go save as, sorry. So we need to click all files, and then what we need to do is we need to rename this a .bat file. And what that does is it changes the way that the file works. As you can see now, we still have that text document, but we also now have a Windows batch file, and that's the one that we need to run in the command prompt to be able to get this running. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this up, and we're going to check that this is working okay. Hopefully it will be, and I won't have to worry too much. So here we go. This is exactly what you need to see. So this is what the actual CUDA miner program looks like. It's nice and basic and DOS prompt and fantastic. Obviously, pay respects to Christian Buchner here, who is the chap that actually made this program. What it's doing now is it's actually running that auto-tune. If you remember that we, in the setup here, we went through and we set up the launch configuration to be automatic. What it's doing by running that is it's actually testing the GPU itself to find out whether or not it's able to run at sort of set levels, and it's fine-tuning that. Now, this is the point in which we need to look at the GPU temperature. If at any point you find that this is running and you're running your fans at 100% and your temperatures are getting close to 90 degrees, you need to stop by hitting the close button up here. That's the really important thing to worry about, is that if at any point your GPU is running over 90 degrees, no matter what GPU you're running, if you're running hotter than 90 degrees centigrade, you are doing permanent damage to your graphics card. There's absolutely no point in mining if you have to spend money on replacing your graphics card. Now, bear in mind, obviously, that this is all up to you. It's your responsibility to play with. And if you decide that you want to do this, it's on your own head. I can't be held responsible for you breaking a graphics card. But as you can see here on the configuration that I'm running at with 100% fan speed, my temperature is sitting at a nice steady 57, and that is, as we can see, the GPU usage is pretty much at the full. So there we go. So now you can see that it's actually started to work. The miner has linked itself up to Doghouse properly, which is exactly what we want. And if we now click over here on Doghouse and go into the dashboard, what you can see is that this is me. This is specifically my worker. And you can see that it is registering that I am doing stuff. I have a hash rate, which is fantastic. That means that it's recognizing the stuff that I'm adding and it's putting it into the actual pool itself, and therefore I'm getting recognized for the work that I'm doing. As you can see with the configuration that we're running, we are looking at around about 460 on the high end. As I said before, the configuration that I've shown you so far is a little bit generic. It really depends on the sort of setup that you're running, the sort of system that you're running. But if you are running a 780 graphics card, then what I will do is I will put my personal 780 configuration into the description of this video, just down below. And with that, I have been successfully able to reach speeds of 520 at the absolute best, but it's always consistently over 500 kilohashes. That is at a unusable speed. I mean, you can do basic web browsing, but you can by no means do any sort of gaming or any sort of video watching at all. That is, as I said before, completely balls to the walls. You know, it's running at all times. Now, you might notice in your CUDA miner here that sometimes you'll get EAs, which is good news because that means that it's successfully done its mining part that it was trying to do. But then sometimes you might also get boos as well. That's perfectly normal. When it's getting a boo, it means that there's a chance that somebody else within the pool has already confirmed that block, or there's another pool that have already confirmed that block quicker than we were able to in our pool. I'm not sure of the specifics of it, but I do know that it's completely normal. As long as you're achieving a yay rate of over, say, 95%, you're running absolutely fine, because that's the sort of thing that I get. At the moment, it's running completely 100%, which is fantastic. And there you can see we're hitting that sort of 460 point. If we go back to our temperature mark here, you can see that we've actually leveled off here at around about 62, 63 degrees. So that's running quite efficiently for me. If I run the balls to the walls configuration, that still gets to sort of 75. If you find that your fans are annoying the hell out of you, then you can decrease the speed. But as I said before, you know, it's really entirely up to you whether or not you want to lower the fan speeds, whether or not you want to increase your overclock. I know that by running my GTX 780 in my computer, in my setup with the cooling configuration that I'm running, because I'm running a liquid-cooled CPU, with a sort of a tunnel system where I have a Noctua fan running on the front side and the back side of the radiator, pushing exhaust out of the back of the computer. So I know I've got a good level of air pressure running through the system, and if I run my AI suites, you can see that I have all my temperatures on my computer running, you know, very cool, very efficiently, and the fans aren't even running that fast. So the system that I'm running, I'm able to run that balls to the wall setup that I'm talking to you guys about at an 80% fan speed and reach temperature of 75 degrees. So that means that it's at a level where I can actually sleep in the same room as the computer, because the fans running at 80% are a lot quieter than running at 100%. But for argument's sake, when you are running the computer in the day, it's always best to run it as cool as possible. Excuse me, because otherwise you're going to be doing damage to your computer. Running as cool as possible at all times is the most important thing. If you pressed auto, if you let the fans go back to auto speed, then that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to do that. But for me, for my setup, the automatic fans tend to let the CPU get into the sort of 80s. And to be honest with you, I'm not really happy running my graphics card 24/7 with temperatures of 80 degrees plus. If I can sit in the 70s, that I am more than happy with. 80s it's a bit of a grey area, and obviously no graphics card has been created equally. They've all kind of met the mark for the clock rate that we're running here, but there's always an overhead, and you can have a good batch. The same with a processor, you can have a good batch and you can have a bad batch. The overclocking and all that kind of stuff is really above the scope of this video, and I'll leave you guys to explore that on your own time. But I would say that generically speaking, if you manage to get under 80 degrees, then you should be fine. I would recommend getting no higher than 75 degrees, because I think once you get past there, you are running a risk of damaging your graphics card when you are running it for days and days at a time without actually giving it any sort of rest. So if we head back into Doghouse here, if we refresh this information, you can now see that it's starting to recognize the amount of work that we're putting in, which is really good news. And hopefully this pool will eventually hit a block. Now, I'll briefly explain how this works, but I'm going to just have to quickly have a little drink, because talking this much does hurt the throat quite a bit. Excuse me. Okay. In the blocks section of the website, if I just bring this up to a slightly larger size, there we go. You can see the amount of blocks that this pool is actually able to break, and you can see which ones it broke by going through here. So the last 20 blocks that were found was 57, 36. Sorry, that's both at 42, but sort of seconds apart. And then there was a gap, and then there was a 15-minute gap, and there was a 1-minute gap. It is very random as to who manages to break the block first. The best thing to do is to find the pool with the largest gigahashes ratio compared to the smallest amount of users, because then that means that the rewards are greater. I have personally found that Doghouse has given me consistent results, so that's the why I'm using this one as an example for you guys. But there are plenty of different ones out there to try. I don't actually know how many workers are involved on Doghouse, but I do know that I consistently get, I'd say probably about 600 Doog per hour running with this kind of setup on this pool. So it's pretty efficient. You know, it runs pretty well. What you can do is you can go into and find out exactly what's going on and what blocks are being broken at what times, and whether or not when you're running you've missed any, because that can happen as well. But regardless, that's how you look at all the different blocks and how efficient your pool is. When you actually do break a block, it will go into your transactions list, and it will be an unconfirmed type of block. Now, once that has been confirmed, that will actually get paid out to your system. And the last thing that I need to show you guys before I close off this video is how to set up an automatic payout, so that when you reach a certain amount of Doog on your online wallet in your pool, you actually can get it to automatically set out and transfer that money across to your offline wallet. So to do that, what you need to do is you need to copy the address. So you go into Much Receive, you right-click address, and then you click Copy Address. That's added it to our clipboard. And then what we need to do is we need to type in that here by pressing Paste. So there we go. That's our wallet. Once again, guys, this is not a wallet that I use. I'm the wallet that I actually use. For donations for the Cafcast is in the description, so bear that in mind. Now, On the automatic payout threshold, again, this is entirely up to you. I run a payout every 1,000 Doge, but you can put in, 500 if you want to, for example. I can type that in. What you need to do is you need to type in your 4-digit PIN that you typed in when you made the account itself, and you click Update Account. And then once that's done, it says account details updated. Fantastic. It loves it. It's very happy. And then we can go back to the dashboard and we can see what's going on. So, it's all going quite well, and eventually, if you were doing this for, let's say, for the next hour, you would start to see unconfirmed Doge coming in, which then turned into confirmed Doge, and then eventually, once you reach that threshold, it would become money in your pocket. So that's how to mine successfully on an NVIDIA graphics card. As I said before, you can go to the Getting Started guide on Dogehouse or look on other websites or other videos to find out how to mine using CG Miner for ATI graphics cards or using MinerD for CPU-based systems. So you're not limited by the system that you're using. You can mine with a CPU if you want to. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope this video has been useful. Do tread on the side of caution when you're mining is all I can really say for this video, because the last thing I want to do is see you burn out your graphics card. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. I've been Caf, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, guys. You've been watching the Cafcast. We hope you have enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check out all of our other videos. Oh, and be sure to subscribe to us if you like what you see. That way I'll know to make more and that you really like me. So, you've been watching the Cafcast. We hope you have enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check out all of our other videos.